Okay. Uh, Third time trying this. Yeah, I got a webcam, but it's laggy, so you're gonna have to deal with it. These are my headphones I use to record. It's pretty fancy, yeah, I know, but it's all from hard work. So I don't. I believe in the basic work ethic that is what humanity has in culture. Now, my clan is off the basis of trying to save everyone, blah blah blah, but I'm unable to do really much myself because there's been some really really bad things happening, and yeah, bit of a weapons collector. And you got a little bit of a thing right there off the side. That's something from my roommate. Collects Indian stuff. And I've pretty much gotten a nice place, decent job that I'll be starting up soon. I'm not gonna say where, because yeah, I have a few enemies, uh, both Astral Realm and I've also met online, I guess you could say. I don't think anything of them too much, but I also know that I can be attacked. I still have use for my body. I can't just go elsewhere. Now, you can probably see I got rid of my stash. I'm not to really, you know. If you just change your appearance once in a while, it's kind of like, okay, you're treating your body right. It's not a vain thing. It's just, hey, if you don't like what you're experiencing with it, just move on. Try something else. I've you can probably see that I'm a little bit tired. That's from staying up late, meditating, and well, one other thing is that I've been having to go in the astral realm a little bit more to try to make sure that I'm not going to get attacked. Uh, try to get a little bit better lighting here, and you probably get a little bit more of a view of the trailer here. There we go. Now, I've pretty much put a good amount of work ethic into getting settled here, so I won't be moving around as much anymore. And you might be seeing more videos of me, and well, if I choose to move, it'll be up into the mountains. I'm not going to be sitting right where I'm at anymore. I'm just going to take whatever I can and leave. Probably get a smaller trailer than this and worry about living off the land, and probably give this to whoever wants it. I mean, got to be generous, right? So, as far as being a warrior, I don't really use firearms as much because I think that's against the warrior's code I follow. Personally, for me, it's honoring, respecting your ancestors, honoring, respecting your ancestors' ways and how they actually have fought. For me, as being part human, it's a basis of fight fight to survive. Don't just fight to win. That's my honor. If you're going to actually fight someone, make sure they are disabled before you move on. Do not turn your back on them until you know they are actually as I said before. So, with that said, um, I've been getting a little bit of a buffering issue with this. I'm not sure if this will conk out on me. So I'll split it here and start it up after a little bit. Okay. Well, oh, if I say split, then that's another part. Okay. Back to what I was saying. I pretty much believe that when it comes to two warriors fighting that do not have the same sort of warrior's code, I believe that that there will be a conflict of interest no matter what. But if you have an imposition of will to actually allow them to learn from their own mistakes, to see if they're actually not fighting the same fight that you are, then by all means, at least allow them to try to understand what your warrior's code is. If they don't want it, then don't do it at all. That's imposing will on someone that does not want it in the first place is a bad idea by all means. I could give several good reasons for that because, well, I don't like that for me personally. Nobody likes having their, as far as a human goes, to have their own will forcefully removed and replaced by something else. Now, as foolish as it might sound, I still think that when it comes to galactic politics and all that, I would rather enforce my own will on that. Because there is a lot to be said for what is versus what can be. The basis of the clan that I have established is also pretty much made off of this. So it's kind of like, okay, there are different beings on my council that have varying cultural differences. I will not impose myself on that. But I have to impose myself on certain topics because if they have one single little bit of weakness, they will murder each other. So not literal, it's just figurative. The most recent topic that has come up that has been around for the longest of times is the Talva. Now, this is not just your average, ordinary creature. It is a nasty little piece of construct that that chaos created, or something created. I'm not sure what did it. Because every time I actually have an experience of getting infected by this thing, it's not exactly, it's not nice. Let's just put it that way. It always tries to impose its will over everything. It doesn't care what you are. It thinks of you only as food, but it is also an intelligent being. It's a parasite, it's an intelligent being, it's a lot of things. It's complicated, I can't really say what it is in words. But, if you were to actually look at some of the things that it does here on Earth, well, that's something to be said a little bit differently. I said what it was before, and I'm not going to say it is exactly like the tall that I'm talking about, because it's completely different. Makeup is not as complex. It's a little less intelligent than what I'm talking about. But the most legitimate comparison I can make is the Slender Man, or Digressman, or whatever culture it's called in that specific means or kind of you know. I can't really put it to words what this thing is, because it can travel throughout all the dimensions. It's not restricted by feral means, I guess you could say, because it's smart. It knows how to hunt things that it didn't. It is that's not from its own dimension, originally where it came from. So we've been at war with this thing for a long time, and all the different clans have gone all over the place to try to fix this, and split. And really, it's not exactly the best of creatures to have around for many different reasons, because it doesn't care what it eats. It's a very, very invasive species. It doesn't, and we're not the ones that are moving it around. It's moving itself around. There is one variant that is very, extremely infectious. It's a DNA RNA spore version of it. And it does adapt and evolve in many ways like humanity does, but a lot quicker. Still, it has one vulnerability, that it adapts too quick. It doesn't understand the I guess simple nature of things, and in a way the energy flow works. So it can be that can be exploited, and eventually you can reverse that and turn it back into its spore form and eject it out of the body, or whichever thing it's infected. The one thing that it cannot infect is constructs and, well, nothing biological, basically. So you could say crustaceans, AI, that sort of thing. There's just no way. That's one benefit they have. We don't. So in a way, they had more time to actually figure out, okay, hey, we need the biological beings to figure out how we can be fixed. So this is like the one thing that they are able to do. Oh, excuse me, that we can't. I'm not very happy about it personally, because I've had experience with this thing, and I am linked to Oracle, which she has had multiple experiences with this thing. And another being, I think she's had experience with that, I don't know, her memories are skewed because she's done some time travel, but I've done travel myself in that regard as well, so different timelines, create different parallels, that sort of thing. But in the one parallel that I'm getting the memory off of her is that, well, she had a squad of beings that were pretty much of the same warrior type, I guess you could say. the closest I could say would be like a commando-esque ninja-like style. So you have a lot of different types of gadgets and stuff, but they're also very technologically advanced in that they know how to get around. But the problem was when they were evacuating a lot of these the beings from away from this uh, parasite. It's not like it wasn't like a Talva type parasite. It was a super infectious parasite that would be able to infect just about anything. It didn't. Well, it didn't. It didn't leave any room for error. Let's just put it that way. And it pretty much just wiped out the entire planet and turned it into a controlled swarm planet, I guess you could say. And they had to remove that planet to keep that parasite from spreading further. Her squad got destroyed in that parallel, but when she went back, she kind of reversed that. In a way, my parallel also carried over with it, so that remained unchanged. The thing is, there's an odd thing when you time travel, that when you create different parallels, that sometimes a being or individual is completely unaffected whatsoever, while others are, well, indirectly affected. Let's just put it that way. So, what have I been doing in my own parallel as of recent? Well, I moved from Terra to a different planet just to, well, get things in order, I guess you could say. I can't really name it just yet because it's still developing. um, I have moved there, though, regardless of it being slightly hazardous. When it comes to Phoenix and fire, it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, I'm having to keep some of my own children back on Terra because of this, because they're not acclimated to fire, and they're mostly hybrid. So you can probably get the point of where I'm going with that. Yeah, it could irreparably damage them in some way. And I've pretty much found that Terra, despite all intents and purposes, is really meant only for humanity. I'm not going to be staying there. I'm pretty much just saying, okay, this is a human planet. It has to stay that way. And for me, volcanic activity is very much a Phoenix thing. And I know that Aita's world was, as she admits to me, where she grew up, where she learned how to survive, and how she learned how to do things, and she was a little bit younger. And, well, when she got older, she I guess you could say she started losing some memory of it. After the wars and all that, I can understand the psychological stuff. You get the point. I can't really understand the mind of a phoenix either, so yeah, it's a little something between me and her. Uh, Another thing about living in a trailer is lots of bugs. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Man, I miss this, to be quite honest. Man, I really do like actually talking to you people out there. I mean, internet, hey. Yeah, you can share your thoughts if anybody wants to listen, all the better. I've had a few messages from you and a few others. Not, I can't really say why, but because it's very complicated and, well, split. Okay, I'm figuring this out a little bit better now. I get it up to like 10 minutes or so yeah. Internet out here is not bad, but it's not good either, so you get the point. As I was saying, I have a few enemies from my exploring, but I also have friends. 3 of them specifically that I might have mentioned in some of my earlier videos, I mean like really early, is Archolm, Caltrate, and Rokul. Archolm is the warrior type. I pretty much follow her path to some extent because I was very interested in it, because they're not exactly the same sort of warriors that humanity would consider anything else. I followed Orion for a while and trained under him because I thought that was the way to go for being able to explore and stuff, to be able to gain access to other things. I was very wrong. There are other paths, there are the means to be able to explore. Specifically, being a trader is like you can trade and be able to slightly go from one place to another, but within a very limited amount of time. For me, I wanted to be able to go as quickly and fast as possible. I was tired of sitting around and not being able to do anything. For me, I mean, after all the things that I went through as a human in my previous life, as like a 10-year-old, somewhere in there, I cannot remember what it was, but I'm starting to get some sort of like even more ancient memories that I'm starting to get bleeded through. I'm not sure what they are, but they're kind of like they're even more tribal than I would have thought possible. I guess it would be considered some bloodline memories, you know, like because I've taken interest in the more tribal arts. It has unlocked something a little more primitive than possible. The point of what I'm trying to say is, when you're exploring, you will find some enemies out there, despite where you go. The fifth dimension is, or should I say the fifth dimensional level, because there's different parallels off of that, is a rather hostile area, despite where you go. I've pretty much been staying on that specific plane of existence. I don't want to go any higher, to be quite honest, because it has a sense of familiarity to me. I could go like 8, up to 8, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. And that's kind of where I'm trying to, adjust myself to. Like now, right now, I'm pretty much like 6 and 7, somewhere between there. Trying to get my parallel to, well, ascend with me. The beings might not ascend with my parallel, but they they also have a serious understanding that I guess it's really, really, really hard to explain considering spirituality of the matter. How can I explain it? I guess you could say it's sort of like a staircase. You take a step, you wait a little bit. After a little while, you have a look around, see where you're at, and see what they're like. Each of these steps are made of a different material. You pretty much one's not packed gravel or something like that, and you have to stomp on it for a little bit before you take the next step, or you'll fall back down the step, down another step. So for me, it's kind of like take a step, then put your foot in and hold yourself there for a little bit. Take another step, hold yourself there, and vice versa. It's for parallel ascension. It's a slow process, and for me, I'm a relatively slow person, so I'm slow and deliberate. So you could step yourself up slightly by doing this, but it's not exactly a easy means to do it. It's very hard, and I would only recommend it to those who are very smart and actually know what they're going to do on that next step. They can actually see the steps in front of them. So, for people that actually want to do the singular method, you want to do that? Go ahead. Talk to your higher selves. Get that straight. Put that first and foremost, though, or because you will be stepping down a lot more. You'll be stepping up 3 and then stepping out 2, up, down, up, down. It'll be go all over the place until you actually get up to some of the higher dimensions. For me, I'd rather just be able to stay in one place for a specific amount of time and just progress naturally. I'm not going to say that I'm bashing any of the other methods because they do work. I have to say they do work. But eventually I got tired of stepping down again, so I just wanted to stay in one place for a little while and then move up slightly but surely. And after a while, being able to see the future and looking at the past, being able to see where I've actually come from as far, just take a slight lean to the left or the right, see what material has come from your past, on each of these steps. It makes a lot more sense to me personally, because familiarity to me is, I guess, more human. But there's also that one little bit of me that is still part phoenix that cannot ascend just the same way as any other being, because I'm an elemental, or part elemental. So I have the element of earth and fire, because human is terra, or terra firma, or Guyana, or something like that. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's just the same sort of element that humanity has always maintained. And it's allowed us to stay grounded for as long as possible in this otherwise boring reality. For me personally, I think it's just boring, but I have a use for my own body. If something were to happen to humanity, I could provide some answers, but it would be relatively jarring. It's not easy doing something like this, to be quite honest. I've I've been really running about doing my own thing with the clans and making sure that as King of Bounties, I'd, you know, well, of course you wouldn't know. As King of Bounties, I'd actually make sure that things don't get into a sheer hissy fit of which clan dominates the other, you know. That just won't work in a society like, you know, I've pretty much explained some of the governmental structure and all that. Like, the clans run some of some of what the government can't. They can do things that the government can't. They've put forth much more effort and resources that the government cannot. They also mine out certain resources that the government is very ill specialized in doing such things. Traders don't know how to deal with something. They'll step in and do that. So that's 5 things right there that I can put in as an example. However, the problem with that is, as I've probably stated before, is that the clans sometimes they over-specialize in something and they want to take over another clan because they feel like they're better than the other clan. And that is a problem. They don't have the same sort of drive or monopoly that the other clans do. In a way, that's kind of bad, but it's also kind of good, depending on which clan is really, 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 really bad at something. Sometimes another clan will step in and make an agreement with the other clans, like, okay, we can give you a little bit of our resources, but after a while, if you want to join us, you can. However, it goes into the tiniest detail of, if you don't comply, we have the right to forcefully take you over. So sort of like the corporations of Earth. It's like hostile takeover. If you do not sign this contract, blah 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 blah, whatever. It's all vocal agreement, so they don't have to really say anything like that. They don't know. They never write things down unless it's a permanent situation that they need to be in for over 1,000 years or something like that, because sometimes it takes that long for a clan to develop, and it gets lost to time, or a being that ran the other clan doesn't know what's going on, etc. It just becomes an entire mess, and it definitely needs to be documented. Aside from that, when you actually do get something like this, is that there is no further documentation on certain things, and there's a lot of gray areas. That's why I kind of stepped in as King of Bounties, because without somebody to actually define those gray areas, there's going to be a lot of conflict. Now, sometimes I've had to just say, okay, forget you two, just bind together for a little while and then separate, because you're not going to be able to get anything done otherwise. Um, I really think that, in a way, that some clans, they do get hostile over certain things, and, well, they do start clan wars. I've kind of stated how that happens a little bit, but I'll get into it further. So, when it comes to clan wars, those when there's gray areas are not defined, it becomes a bit of a spit-off of words of which um, clan is better and blah blah blah. They start smear campaigns. They try to elevate themselves above the other, etc., etc., etc. Sort of like the politics of Earth, but it's a little bit beyond that. Like, they'll actually sabotage a base or something like that and say another clan did it, or they'll do something that doesn't exactly fit in with the general clan structure, and they'll say they've been sabotaged, you know. This sort of thing could be impossible to really understand, but if you do not have a really good judgment of what they've done, then, oh, the things that I've seen. They're so stupid when they do things like this. They'll do anything sometimes just to be able to get a serious amount of resources so they can get their plan going. Oh my. I haven't really been able to be needing to do anything with this whole Talva thing so far, so I'm glad of that. It's like, sometimes war unites clans for a little while, and then they actually find out, like, hey, why were we fighting in the first place? I really think that's kind of the only thing that really gets them to, hey, think for a change. Without a uniting force, there is nothing that will stop them. Because, I mean, as King of Bounties, that's something that has to be there. The last King of Bounties was a complete and total prick. He just doesn't understand how the clans work. And for me, I was exploring a lot of these different cultures, doing a lot of things, so I was able to understand how each clan was run and how they actually were, well, I guess you'd say, built to last or built to continue on after a little bit and then just cut off. So, there's different clan types, obviously. I'm not going to get I'm going to get into a rant over that as well. I guess I could say a few things on the place of Orion Council, Council 12, and a lot of other things on this whole war. They are also contributing, but they are not contributing as much because they want to do more peace missions and stuff like that. They want to just let the clans deal with it. I personally think that's a bad idea, because when it comes to the Talva, it will destroy a lot of things. It's not a good idea. It could turn out bad. I've already contributed pretty much all of my resources to just get rid of this thing, because with the personal experience I've had with it, that primal part of me is like, gung ho, you mess with me, I'm going to take you down. That part of my warrior's code, the old way of things for me.
You just messed up, man. You just really messed up. I'm not having any more of it. You got my clan to deal with. So what? I'm going after you, no matter what. The thing is, it's not out of vengeance. It's out of understanding that what it did to me can happen to a lot of others in a very limited amount of time. So I have one species completely devoted to destroying part of it medically for anybody that's infected. I have a few others that are actually devoted to locating and finding any more of that, which actually reports back to them. And then it just goes on different levels, etc., etc., etc. You get the point. But the more complex it's made into, it's the less and less of a problem it can be. But if you destroy one of those levels, then it completely falls apart, obviously. So what I'm doing with my clan is there is at least one person, one expert out of the entire group that's going with them to make sure that that if one of those structures do get destroyed, that they can actually be restarted. It's completely conglomerate. It can't be destroyed. Sometimes I even put out 2 or 3 people like that. I've registered the policies with my clan so they know exactly what to do every single time. If we started a group project, it must be done the same way. But if there is something wrong, you have to adapt. Phew, I actually got up to 20 minutes this time. Okay, well, I can say where they've actually gone. Give me a minute here. Shut the mic off for a second. As of current, it's pretty much they are able to make sure that it's in full retreat. So, a lot of the other clans have been putting their own efforts into it and making sort of a pincer effort to contain it and then make it implode on itself. So, it's sort of off the basis of why even bother on certain things, but I could probably recall my clan and start doing some other things that I've been wanting to do. For a fact that helping out humankind, well, that's one thing I want to do, but I can't really do over and over again because I have so few resources left. Right now, it's like after the war, it's going to be recollecting and trying to reconsolidate all of the resources from other planets that are allowed. Each of the beings that are in charge of each of these planets, different sectors, etc., their people. It's sort of like the Council of 12 in a way, but it's not just that. It's like 13, 14, 15 constructs, AI, it doesn't matter. If it's devoted to destroying something that is affecting their kind, or that their kind is being wiped out by natural reasonings, that they would be helped out by my clan. So, in a way, it's a sort of peace-loving sort of clan, but it's also, when it has to be, it can fight back. So there's no one way that this can't be underdeveloped. They pretty much rely on me as a human to be very, very adaptive. They rely on me to be the sort of quasi-inventive one, while the Greys and the Reptilians, well, as far as the politics with them, some things have come up. I really don't think it's best to say in this video, but I could basically say that humanity is not getting along with them. We have a very, very nasty reputation of taking things over and wanting to conquer them. And for me personally, I want to be able to get over that. I want to stop that completely. So that's just in short without getting into further detail. Last thing I want to say is, give me a second. I need to look this up. Split. Okay. Looked it up, and the users Samiur Rahman and this other person is just has a username of unknown. I'll just call Average Joe or something like that. So these two specifically, Samiur Rahman, I'm sorry, I can't really meet you specifically. I sent his message you and told you why, but I have my own work. I very rarely have time to come out and do things of my own free time, and as I've already stated prior, I'll probably put a marker on the end of this video and say, okay, well, this is for you specifically. Make it a personal response to this, because I really do appreciate you coming around and watching me, but I can't do some things that you want me to do. I'm not perfect. I'm not the same sort of being that you think of any elemental or something like that. I'm not a god. I don't feel that way. I never will be. And I most certainly am a very personable kind of guy, but I'm also very public. If I have to be, I'll just do whatever I need to. Like I said, I have my own roommate. I have someone that kind of helps out with the rent and does the work around where I'm at this ranch I've moved to. And yeah, working with nature is pretty much the kind of thing I would like to do. Having horses about, having chickens or something like that, Recently had a hog that got fat enough for slaughter. Yeah, I know, I'm not a vegetarian, so so what? So, Average Joe, I could say you are very much a helpful person. I thank you for your support, personally. And, well, a lot of what you said about our calm, I guess I could probably say a little bit about it. I did say in one of my prior videos that our column and me were connected, and well, yeah, of course, I keep saying it a lot, because hey, memories are memories, experiences are experiences, that sort of thing. But there's one thing that I can say that has changed, and aside from what has happened over the course of, uh, it's gotten a little more complicated. Our home was framed, and I don't know how, but they did it in such a way that I wouldn't notice. So basically, I pretty much forced a forced interventions, so to speak, because I actually still like them as friends. I do not want them to get in any trouble whatsoever. And they were doing something that they thought they had to keep secret, so they took the consequences with it. I didn't know why they took it, but that's just our calm. It's and Monet, they both are two peas in a pod. They'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. Whatever the contract that is. It's been about a year or two since I've actually allowed them free, or they are the council that, the council or government that they jailed them or whatever. Let them on release. So I went with them to find out what was going on after they told me that this other clan was trying to get rid of them. And my reaction to that was quite simply, well, if they're trying to get rid of you, then maybe I should at least intervene. As the Kingmakers are like, no, 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 this has to be on a personal level. This has to be something that we have to do. And I'm like, no, I'm your friend then. You have to be at least willing to let me come with you. So we actually went off. We did our own things, you know. It's fine. I mean, average Joe. Oops. Sorry about that. Had my roommate come in, and he was gone about doing his own thing. He had to go off to some work, and as you can see, I got a different shirt on now. Went through a few of my personal things, just usual. Got like an hour or two later doing this recording. And yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Average Joe or Jane or whatever. I believe, in a way, that what you were saying to me about our calm, yeah, that was kind of okay. Not too indifferent about what happened with them. That's what I was saying before. We pretty much solved it all together over the past whatever time frame I can probably put out there. I mean, it's in the past. I was just saying that. Okay, yes, I've done something to fix this. It's there. Okay. Now, go ahead and split. Finish this off.